Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P-Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab. What I do. Today I got a nice lesson for you, but the question now is, I'm not going to put a time clock on my lesson. I'm going to give you the lesson. I'm in my book today. I got a good one for you. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to get the message to you. We're going from the mysteries of Isis. And the topic today is going to be about the paths of yoga. Oh yeah, I'm a yogi too. Okay, practicing. I don't claim mastery. It's mastery of the right thinking philosophy and myself. Yoga concepts. I'm a practicing. Okay, so I'm gonna get you in on a little bit. I know a little bit, so let's go. Writing in 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. The message in the story for life. These are life lessons. Sometimes from the book. Today, I'm taking to the book. The teacher's gonna preach. You better hear me good. Why? I got some knowledge and information that would do you good. So it would be good to pay attention. But don't put the clock on me. I want to get the lesson out. I'm trying to take my time. I was told to slow it down. What's the big hurry? I'm watching the clock. Forget the clock. Get a lesson. Gotcha. Let's go. Right Thinker's mission, and I'm on it. Doggone it. Is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. I'm just giving life lessons. I appreciate you tuning in. Right Think is way of life through mental and spiritual disciplines. That's a way of life. Employed daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal. If you follow me, spiritual enlightenment, aka knowing thyself, is the goal. That's your intent. And my goal is to get you there as best and quick as I can with the information that you can use to make that happen for yourself. That's why I do it for you daily. Let's go. Question: do you know you? Yeah. Think about it. And these are 5 kinds of people. Some of these kinds are you. So if you know you know you fall in here. Let's go. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Is that you? Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's what I do for you. I'm here paying attention. What I'm doing for you, you'll be able to do it too. Trust me. That's what I do it for. For you to get it, understand it, and live it. Next one. A person who knows not and believes that they know. You know how I feel about them. They're dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows not, but a person who knows. Now they know, but they don't know that they know why, because they are asleep spiritually. I'm the spiritual alarm clock. My job is to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow that. All these persons be guiding you. I think of myself and to my app be true. I'm gonna take a page or a few pages out of my book, but it's gonna break down the paths of yoga. Yoga is an Eastern concept of religion. They practice due diligence on their own, any aspect. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. I'm a practicing yogi also. Now, the paths of yoga. The discipline of yoga falls under 5 major categories. There's more, but these are the majors. Okay. They are yoga of wisdom. That's the Syrian myth. They teaching you intellect. Aset, she represents wisdom. Next one is yoga of devotional love. That's showing love for your higher self, aka God, by doing what? Adhering, being obedient, and serving Him. Okay? Number 2. Number 3, yoga of meditation. Practice that every morning. From prayer to meditation. Okay? That's part of your daily routine. If you're trying to get to this level of enlightenment, these are things that you can practice to help you do that. Then you got the Tantra yoga. That's all twisted and turning the position. Homie, don't do that. I'll let you know that right now. I don't do tantra. I get it. I understand it. I just don't perform it. Last one, my favorite. And this is what right thinkers really fall under, because this is what I teach. Yoga of selfless, righteous action. Doing the right thing for the right reason, sacrificing for others to make things work. That's what you practice on a day-to-day basis. That's godly. Okay, every one of them aspects is pertaining to you, relating to your higher self, aka God. But you can manifest it in the physical form. That's the difference. Watch this. Within these categories, there are subsidiary forms which are part of the main disciplines. Again, you got other ones, but this is the main. Now the one I practice, and you get to that next, but let's talk about these right here. So the practice of any spiritual discipline that leads to what? Oneness with the supreme consciousness, aka knowing ourselves, can be called yoga. If you study, I do that, rationalize and reflect upon the teachings, I do that. You are practicing yoga of wisdom. Done that. If you meditate upon the teachings and your higher self, you are practicing yoga of meditation. Yes, I do that daily. If you practice rituals which identify you with what? Your spiritual nature, you are practicing yoga of ritual identification, which is part of what? Yoga of wisdom and the yoga of devotional love of the divine. I'm God conscious. If you develop your physical nature, working out every day, psychic energy centers, remember Kundalini, the chakra, the twin serpents, Isis and Nephthys, they represent Mayate. That means you're living a righteous and virtuous lifestyle and you activate your Kundalini, which sits in the bottom of your spine. And only way it's going to wake up, they tell you, living right activates what? The Kundalini. Okay, another lesson, but that's the concept. So righteous living plays a role in human life. Why do you think that is? It was made that way. When you practice your energy centers, working on your energy centers, you are practicing, there we go, my girls, serpent power, aka Kundalini or Uranus. Uranus is the cobra head sticking out, okay? But you had the twin serpents, which is Isis and Nephthys, okay? They represent that. I can do that, okay? And the spinal cord, which Osiris represents, you got the two girls going up the caduceus. That's called the caduceus. And you got the two serpents going to the top, and at the top you got the wing, the disc, which represents God. You see me doing this. The spirit is represented by bird. Why? Birds fly. They can ascend. So you give me the concept of ascending consciously, being smarter, thinking, understanding, comprehending, so you can, if you knew better, you can do better. This is why wise men live right. If you are practicing serpent power, Kundalini yoga, which is part of, again, tantric yoga, because you got the postures. Now, if you practice, here's my favorite, living according to the teachings of ethical behavior and selflessness, aka Maya. I call it right thing philosophy, but that's what it is, just with my spin on it. Okay, that's what makes it mine, unique. You are practicing yoga of action, aka Maya, in daily life. It don't say every Sunday. It don't say 2 days. Nope. Every day you live this. It's a part of your life. When you implement these things in your daily life, you'll see the change. That's the purpose of it. Now, watch this. Now, if you practice turning your attention toward the divine by what? Developing love for the divine. If you meet God, you will develop a love for him. Okay? Then it's what is called devotional yoga or yoga of divine love. Most people call them fanatics. Oh Lord, raise the roof. Every time you talk about they praising Lord, that's a little over the top for me. Show your respect by doing godly things. Not about hooping, hollering, ranting, and raving, showing off people who you want them to think, no, only one watching is him. So the only one you got to please is him. If you try to please people, then you wrong. Let's go. Watch this. Now the practitioner of yoga is called a yogin, male practitioner. Wow, with the N, or yogini. The female practitioner is one who has attained what? The culmination of yoga, union with the divine. If you're going to meditative state and you don't commune with your higher self, you just sitting there sleeping. You supposed to raise your conscious level. You're supposed to have something going on in the meditative state. It's called yogi, the female yogi. Okay. Now, in this manner, yoga has been developed into many disciplines, which may be used in what an integral fashion, meaning they all overlap. You can interchange and use them all when it's necessary. Phrase. Better to have it and don't need it than to need it and don't have it. If you have all 5 yoga categories mastered, whichever one you need is at your disposal. If you just have one, maybe you might need the other 4. If you don't have them, it's not going to be good for you. So it's good to get the whole package and use them in an integral fashion to what? To achieve the same goal. What's that? Enlightenment. Enlightenment is to learn something that you didn't know. I come here every day to do just that, give you enlightenment. So that's a process of what? Studying, learning, and being able to teach. Moving on. So therefore, the aspirant, right thinkers, you should learn about all the paths of yoga. Again, don't take one and choose what those elements to concentrate on which best suits his or her personality. Again, it's yoga a la carte. Pick out what you like, take what turns you on, what you like, and use that. Don't just take it because it's there. You got no use for it? You got no use. Okay. Now, when your person practice, and then what? You practice the one that you fancy, or practice them all in an integral, balanced way. I prefer that way. Why? Just a little bit. I'm talking about I got some work done in my house, some plumbing work. I knew some jack legs, and they okay. But a jack, if you playing cards, you know jack is just over 10, so he ain't much better than the average person. Just thinking he is. So when he think he can do something better than you and get to the point where his jack knowledge is leveled out, he ain't got no more understanding what to do, he's done. You call him master plumber, he come in, look, man, this okay, that's the difference, okay? So if you know something, you know something. But if you know a little bit about something, you don't know it. I tell people I don't teach the stuff that I know. Why? Because I know it. I haven't mastered it. So I don't get indulged and I don't profess to know something. I just know a little bit about it. I send you in the right direction to get more information. I do that. If I don't know it, I'm gonna point you in the direction to get it. If it ain't right thinking, well, man, you need to go here. You need to go there. Why? That ain't my area. Simple. Moving on. All forms of spiritual practice are what? Directed toward the goal of what? Assisting every individual to discover the true essence of the universe, both externally in physical creation and internally within the human heart, as the very root of human consciousness. Remember, the consciousness in the heart is spelled Conscience, meaning there's a science there. There's some proof there. The mind consciousness is Concious consciousness. That means your brain. You have 2 different kinds of conscious. Another lesson, but moving on. But every human consciousness where God dwells. Thus, many terms, watch this, are used to describe the attainment of what? The goal of what I call spiritual enlightenment or spiritual knowledge. And you do that to what? To the eradication of what? Spiritual ignorance. The opposite of ignorance is knowledge. So you use spiritual knowledge to eradicate spiritual ignorance. Real simple. Now, some of these terms, listen to this, are enlightenment, one of my favorites. Another favorite, resurrection. Other one, salvation. The kingdom of heaven, sound familiar? In India, they call it moksha or liberation. In the Buddhists, they call it Buddha consciousness. Or in the Tao, one with the Tao or self-realization. My favorite, know thyself, etc. Every culture, every different race of people has different names for the same thing that they all practice. Just call it different names, but they practice the same thing, worship of God. So understand that. So I respect religion in that fact. I don't practice them because I know something else. That's all. No disrespect, just that I practice something that I know now. So understand that. Moving on. All these, are names to practicing for the same thing. Again, call them, all them say something, but they mean the same thing. Also, many names have been used what to describe that Transcendental essence. What's the transcendental essence? God. You're Muslim, Allah. Egyptian, Asar. Aset. Indian, Krishna. Buddha. The higher self, my favorite. I choose the higher self or the supreme being. And there's many others. Why? You can call the title, it's just name it what it is. You can call him what you want. He ain't beat for the name. He wants you to do the deeds. That way he can take care of you for doing those things. So whatever you call him, he ain't beat for that. You can call me P. You can call me Funk. You can call me P Funk. Don't make a difference. Okay? Just don't call me late for the knowledge. Moving on. Here you go. Okay, I got a few more minutes. The integral yoga. What's that? Integral yoga is the personality of every human being is somewhat different. Why? Because everybody is different and unique in their own way. What people say, he made me, he broke the mold. All molds are broken. However, the sage, here you go, of yoga have identified four basic factors which are common to what? All human personalities. Okay? We don't set aside when we do this. No, everybody get the same treatment. That's called just and fair. Watch this. Now, these factors are emotion. Aren't we all emotional human creatures? It's a fact of life. So everybody's emotional. The next one is reason, thinking. For me, there's a method to the madness. I don't do something without knowing what I'm supposed to be doing, what my goal, end game, and ain't willy-nilly. Okay, it ain't just haphazard. Then you got action. That's WRIGHT. Whatever you do, be it good or bad, you're going to reciprocate that. You reap what you sow. So all actions are followed by consequences. The consequences up to you. If you do good, you get blessed. You do evil and destructive, deceitful things, you will be punished. Simple as that. If we can teach our young right from wrong and they can get to learn how to understand themselves, they won't be doing so much bad stuff to themselves. Okay, last one is will. Your belief, your thoughts of who you are dictates what you will do and won't do. If you believe in God, the will to not do something that not pleasing God, you might not have the wherewithal to fight it off. Why? Because you don't know God. You just believe in it. You might think, but if you knew God, oh, your will is strong to do the right thing. Luke, use the force. When you are confident in what you are and what you're doing, you will go head on it and take on the challenges of life. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about this the will. This means that, watch this, that in order for a human being to evolve, listen, all aspects of the personality must progress in what? An integral fashion. Meaning you think it, you know it, you understand it, and then you manifest it by living it. You can't talk a good game and do nothing on the other end and think you're going to get something to happen. That's crazy. I know a lot of guys talk their good talk. Oh, man, I do this, I serve God for my foot. I don't hear that. If you serve God in earnest, you will be having a blessed life. So if you catching hell and tell me you praying to God every day, something you ain't doing. How about that? Okay. I'm just saying. So people, don't think you can blame God for everything, be it good or bad. When you gonna take responsibility for what you do? All God do is what you want him to do for you. Well, I gotta let people suffer. What are you worried about that? You should worry about what you and God have in common, what you can do for yourself with God. But that's all you should be concerned with. What? That's all you can change. Moving on. So therefore, four major forms of yoga disciplines have evolved, and each is what specifically designed to promote a positive movement in one area of what of your personality. The yoga discipline, the yoga of devotional love. Excuse me. Yeah, that's my sister. Sorry about that. Taking care of some family stuff. But when you living, okay, there are the aspects of yoga, every one of them specifically designed to promote a positive movement in one of your areas of your personality. If you practice them all, that means you master every area of your personality, so to speak. That's why I break down my ancient Egyptian god and goddesses the same way. And yoga does the same thing, but they do it their way. So watch this. Now, the yoga of devotional love enhances what? And harnesses your emotional aspect in a human personality and directs it what? Towards the higher self. Your higher self is God, okay? AKA Haru in the flesh. Your higher self is you knowing who you are, okay? And you should know that you and your father are one. And Christ told you that. So that's what the higher self is. Now, with the yoga of wisdom, it enhances and harnesses what? Your reasoning aspect in the human personality and directs that towards your higher self. Everything is geared for you to be your best self, towards your higher self. That's your best self. Let me wrap this up for you because this is going to be part one. I'll probably break it down in increments. Try to give you 20 minutes. I don't want to take up too much of time, but I want to get the lesson out. So it's going to be a series of lessons. Let me wrap this up. So the yoga of action enhances and harnesses what? The movement and behavior aspect of the human personality and directs it again towards your higher self. Everything is about ascension. Everything is about rising. That's what the wings are for. Red Bull gives you wings. Right thing philosophy gives you wings. Okay? The yoga of, here we go, meditation. It enhances and harnesses the willing aspect of your human personality and directs it also towards the higher self. On that note, I'm going to say lesson, right? Lesson one is over. I'll be back with another lesson from Egyptian yoga. No, this is Isis. Excuse me. We doing the passive yoga. I'm doing my yoga thing. Sorry about that. I'll be back. Part two.